Well, welcome, young and old, to the greatest old escape room show, where wonder and amazement is our goal. Welcome to Puzzle Talk. I'm Tone, and with me, as always, Frank and Mike are here.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody.
Did you do finger?
I did the.
Well, welcome, everybody. We have a ton of awesome topics to cover today, and we can't wait to get through them. But there, like usual, is a lot of stuff.
Well, let's say, Memorial Day. Remember today we're remembering all the service people who have sacrificed themselves in the past to keep us free and keep us clear of tyranny. And let's, when you're having your barbecue burger today, just take a moment to remember that. Very important.
Thank you very much for your service.
So thank you for your service, and we get the kind of sad part out of the way first, and now we can go into the fun parts.
Well, we do have, for anyone looking to participate in any of our on-site locations, we are running an awesome promo for Memorial Day weekend that's still going till the end of today. So by all means, if you want 25% off for Cure Z, the Zombie Apocalypse 2-hour escape room in the Poconos, or Boogeyman in Red Bank, or F5 Witch Hunt, Puzzles and Corks, even pre-sold tickets for the Greatest Freak Show apply. So
yep, we are open all day today.
All day. Yep. Actually, Cure Z is almost sold out already, but
awesome.
But the other locations still have some tickets. You'll be noticing that our sponsors today, Puzzles and Corks, we're actually featuring one of our wines from June's collection. June will be all wines from Australia.
Puzzles and Corks logo facing out.
Thank you, Mike. So this is one of them. Rosemount. It's a Shiraz. I do detect some fruity flavoring.
It's quite good.
It is quite good, actually. I'm quite.
And that's coming from a beer drinker, because I don't do wine.
Full-bodied, well-defined, juicy sweet with blackberry, plum, and cherry flavors, influenced by the subtle richness of oak. Pairs beautifully with hearty, rich, seasoned dishes, red meats, or the sharp bite of a strong cheddar.
Tastes like red wine.
It is a very good red wine. Very, very good.
It's wine.
We'll be talking a little bit more about June's Puzzles and Corks later, because the theme of that month will be available on Escape Stream, Theater of the Devil, so we'll be talking about that later. But I guess let's get right into the news. Frank, what are we starting with?
Right, so following up our topics last week about, escape rooms for educational purposes. A couple things that are happening soon. We have an escape room coming up June 8th in Reno, Nevada. That, as soon as I can get back to the link, I can tell you more about. But it's designed to help with substance awareness abuse and substance abuse.
Substance abuse awareness.
Substance abuse awareness. Yes.
There we go.
So basically, the room is designed to help people, help someone who's going through substance abuse and see the signs of it, and how to understand more what they're going through in an effort to help them.
Welcome, Stephanie. Glad to see you again. By all means, keep joining in on the talks. We love viewer comments. This is awesome. This is another next step of the things we were talking about in previous weeks, and we have some more of this even to talk about. But I think this is a awesome piece to do an escape room topic with, to really shed some light on these instances that, for one, people going through it might find some benefit in, but also people who really don't understand what it's about and what it's like to have problems like this.
Right. Right. That's where escape room style things can really help.
Yeah.
So that's really great to see. So yeah, if you're in the Reno, Nevada area on June 8th at the Silver Legacy Resort Casino, you should definitely check that out. It's all for charity. So that's really good.
Yeah. Awesome. And the next one, it's funny because I have a friend that's in the National Guard, but I didn't get to speak to him because he was on vacation about this. I wanted to see if there's been any rumblings of them doing it at where he's stationed, but I'll have to follow up on that and maybe we'll revisit. But what's going on with this National Guard escape room?
Right. Well, the Massachusetts Army National Guard has set up a room to help their members learn about cybersecurity and how to combat cybersecurity, which is another great topic. A lot of the things that, a lot of escape rooms deal with like a spy theme. So turning that to an educational purpose and putting it to a real world use is a great idea.
Yeah, I actually, when I read the description of this, it sounded very much like, remember when Frank and I have gone a couple years to the Room Escape conference? Remember when we did the one in the trailer?
Right.
It felt like it read like it was similar to that, but larger.
Right.
Maybe in a giant tractor trailer instead of,
Well, mobile escape rooms for educational purposes are a thing. And to turn them to something so serious and topical as cybersecurity, something that's very important in this day and age with potential voter fraud and everything else, that's a very important topic for people to cover and for adults to learn. And that's the other thing. This is not for kids. This is adult learning, which is great to see too.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably aimed at kind of college level people just getting into the Guard.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very cool concept. And this, unlike some of the others where it seems like they're really stretching to call it an escape room.
Right. This one actually feels like it.
More like it.
The other one, the abuse, the last
Substance
one we
abuse.
just talked about, the substance abuse one, also sounds a lot better than some of the other ones we've been covering in terms of being more of an escape room and puzzles and solving things.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Anything to comment, Mike?
Not really. I mean, I found it interesting. I guess it's easier sometimes to disguise the point you're trying to make as something as like fun in the game, as opposed to just pontificating about cybersecurity. We have to be aware of these things. When you can just put people in a situation where they're making the same point, only you're interacting with it. It's usually why science fiction films work so much, because you can make a point, you can comment on something that's going on right now without making it obvious. But someone will walk out of a sci-fi film going, wow, racism sucks. As opposed to, someone telling you that racism sucks.
Yeah.
Pontificating.
That's the word of the day, kids. Pontificate.
Woo! What does pontificating mean? I mean, by placement of the word, and I can figure it out. But
Talking a lot and saying nothing. Or just endlessly philosophizing.
we lost Frank.
It's my show now.
I think Frank ran to answer the phone, but we were literally just about to enter. Here he comes. Okay. I'm pretty sure you just blew out everyone's speakers, Mike.
Good thing we weren't talking.
Okay. So this is really, I think, the topic everyone's been waiting for. I've been getting a lot of private messages, even kind of like with people chomping at the bits for this one.
This is a fun one that we've talked about over the years, on and off, and it's definitely a fun one.
Dun. Mist.
Yep.
So realistically, the Mist element of this was really actually like a blip on the radar. In the the grand scheme of the island. So what we're talking about here is actually the abandoned escape island project Disney World was planning.
Way before there were escape rooms.
Escape rooms. So basically, for reference, we'll throw this photo up. Disney has an island that is now called, it's fully abandoned, but it's now called Discovery Island.
Well, that's what it was when it opened.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, it's gone through a few names. It was like Pirate Island. It was like, it had a few different names.
Well, when it closed, it was called Discovery Island.
Right. So, essentially, what it was in its initial conception was a habitat for animals.
Right, for exotic animals that you wouldn't be able to find.
And a slightly pirate-themed scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
The island had, I guess this was really a precursor of Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Which
is why it closed, because they opened Animal Kingdom, and
now
it's an island.
Right.
Yeah, you don't need to go to an island.
An entire massive theme park is better than an island where you have limited attendance issues.
Right.
Which is what we'll get into, as far as Discovery Island and why it couldn't work for what they were looking to do.
Right. Yeah.
To a degree. which we'll talk a little bit about Galaxy's Edge, because I think they figured out how to nip this a little bit. However, the concept of the island was that people would get tour boated in. They would have X amount of hours on the island for the day. And they would go about whatever, it was basically a nature walk. They set up their own, man-made rivers, and there was an aviary.
It looked like it was very much an aviary, more above everything else.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that was added. When it first opened, it had very low attendance. And then they added the aviary, they added some other features to try to bump attendance up, and that had worked for a period of time. But ultimately, their attendance was the issue. They couldn't get enough people on the park at a time for it to really be profitable enough for them to call it an attraction. So, hence, they said this has potential in concept, but not in this location.
Right, yeah.
So let's build Animal Kingdom. So there was a number of years where this park was open. I believe 70s to the 90s.
Yes.
And it closed in the 90s.
In like 99, I think it was.
Yeah. So essentially, this park had its run. They close it down. What do we do with it?
Right.
We've still got an island that people could attend. Now, one of the things that I did a lot of research, because I was really interested in this for a while. There was a lot of talk that one of the reasons they ended the island was bacteria in the water surrounding the island. There is deadly bacteria. There's traces of it found in the water, but as long as nobody goes for a dunk, it's not really something that's a concern to an attraction on an island. So that is not why they closed it. They really closed it because Discovery Island was profitable. They wanted higher attendance to make more money, so they made Animal Kingdom. The end. Matter of fact, I believe there is even a Discovery Cove or something.
Yeah, I read that too. It's like it started as like the Tree of Life, and they renamed it Discovery Island. I might even be Discovery Island.
Right, I think that's where Rafiki is. And like other So so there's even a
go back to the Tree of Life after the Lion King live action.
Right. You've got this kind of call to what was before.
Right.
In the park there as a tribute. So they were looking for other things to do with the island. And a massive scavenger hunt was on the list. And then there was a licensing play with Myst, the video game from the early 90s.
Myst was a video game from the early 90s. It was the highest selling video game until 2002 when the Sims came out for computers. And it really was a landmark game in that it put the format of the CD-ROM on the map. But also, it was that you were on an island, and you had to solve puzzles to discover the mystery of the island and ultimately get off the island. So that seems perfect for a theme park, and it is definitely very proto-escape room. And I feel like if like Myst and a couple other games from the time did not exist, we might not even have escape rooms today.
It was definitely that initial love of the puzzle content on CD-ROM.
And
my first introduction to that was actually a neighbor who was addicted to it, and I started playing it. It was a little slow moving for me. I didn't really have, especially at that age, the attention span for it. I revisited it years later. Jess, my wife, and I had tried playing it, and we were bored.
But they don't hold your hand. That's
no.
They don't tell you what you need to do. You have to figure it all out yourself.
No.
And that made it a little tough, and especially for someone revisiting it now, it would be a little tough.
An upcoming topic of this episode is clues and hints. They do not really feed you clues and hints in this one.
Yeah, nothing.
Myst was very, very hardcore puzzle your way through. Yeah. But even the puzzles were very different than what you find in escape rooms.
They were not necessarily... Well, yes, there's a lot of pulling levers and switches and things like that, and they didn't all connect to each other either. In fact, part of the story of Myst was being able to go into different worlds. Right. So each world had its own design, its own puzzle, and so they weren't necessarily all connected like an escape room might be.
Right. And Disney could have done the hell out of this.
And to think about what could have been to have that island there, set it up like Myst, which at that time everybody knew.
Right.
and have similar puzzles to what was in Myst, and that would have been a great experience.
It would have been. The element that I think was going to be a potential issue is you would have to design it very linear, because if you give people free roam of the park, unless you have isolated self-resetting puzzles,
Right.
kind of like a la, shout out to Five Wits, they do that very well. But an entire island of that might get a little old fast.
Yeah.
It seems a little arbitrary to just have unrelated puzzles that anyone can just kind of solve.
That's a lot of the way that Myst was itself. Though.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one thing to play in a computer game. It's one thing when you have, 50 people, all
Right.
kind of running around an island, pulling levers and switches because pulling levers and switches are awesome.
Yeah.
But, who doesn't like doing
a good
that?
point.
But there's no rhyme or reason for any of it when you're actually there doing
Or
it.
if you're trying to solve something and you're on something and a kid runs up and pulls the switch and resets the whole puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very that's a very accurate element to it that would have been problematic.
Yeah.
If because I know the island was set up with trails that would take you kind of through the entire route of the island,
Right.
and then ultimately back to the docks. So I would figure they probably would have kept to that to a degree.
They could have done it linear then, yeah.
Very similar to, for example, how Five Wits or the Saw experience in Vegas takes you room to room, but you can't go back.
Right.
Once you've completed a room, it's resetting itself. You're moving to the next room, and cycle, repeat.
Yeah, except being an open island as it was, it would
Flags,
feel like it would take away, kind of.
what Six Flags Great Adventure wanted us to build.
Yeah.
There was a point where we were working with Six Flags Great Adventure to build a game in the theme park. But ultimately, it had to be completely 100% linear. A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D. And they wanted, 2 minutes per room?
Yeah, it had to reset itself incredibly fast so that we can get the next group in.
Right. So you can't even get adjusted to a puzzle in that amount of time. It was not really doable. I don't think this was going to be that way. I think you were going to have, a half a day.
Right, but that actually is part of the problem in itself too. Why they couldn't crack it. Yeah.
Though, Galaxy's Edge does kind of take that concept and limits your time.
It does.
It does. For example, I think.
Oh right. Oh yeah. I did read about that when as their first opening for the first couple of weeks. You have like a wristband that you're only allowed in for a certain amount of time, and then you get escorted out by stormtroopers if you go over the time.
I think
which will make everybody go over the time
intentionally.
Yeah.
I think it's the cantina is like the lounge bar / shopping. I think you have 2 hours in there.
I guess 2 hours is good enough. Is enough time to shop.
I could be wrong. Please don't quote me on any of these times or comment in the comments if you know them. But and I think it's 4 hours for the rest.
For the entire thing.
Yeah, Smuggler's Cove.
That could be a good way. Having seen what people, when Harry Potter opened, the swarms of people that were there and how long things took, limiting people to it is probably a really good idea. For at least until it settles down a little bit.
So as a result, they're only letting X amount of people in at a time. They have their time slot, and then they're escorted out. The hotel is apparently a predetermined 2-day experience. So there's a storyline across the 2 days that you're engulfed in and immersed in. There are puzzles. I was actually listening to reviews of someone who had gone and participated through the whole thing, and you're given roles, and as you're playing through those roles, there's it actually reminded me 100% of Five Wits' Space Game, which I can't remember the name of. I apologize. It was quite honestly my least favorite of the 3 I played. Because it really reminded me of an artificial video game.
Yeah, well, you're not a sci-fi fan.
But, I mean, true, but, hold on, we seem to have lost connection for a second here. Let's see if are we back? What's going on? If anyone could comment, are we still good to go here? Because I think we are, but I'm not positive.
The Russians are coming. Cybersecurity.
Make sure. Here we go. Hello, hello. Anybody there? Anybody there? Okay. Thanks, Brian. Much appreciated.
Still good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah. Good to see you, Brian. And hope you're doing well. Brian from Cracked at Escape Games is watching. Frank and I know him personally from the Room Escape conferences. And Brian actually has an awesome story that maybe one day we have to video him in to kind of tell. He was in a location in his neck of the woods. Big storm pretty much wiped him out. And thanks to, a lot of ingenuity, a lot of determination, and some community support, he was able to get back up and running. And from what I understand, he's doing better than ever. So congrats. We'll have to get him on the show to really get some details about, what happens when a storm comes through. But okay, so anyway, back where we were. The Galaxy's Edge does have you get into the Falcon.
Right.
And you have your roles. So the first, say, couple seats are for, the firefighter people. So they're operating the laser beams and all the stuff to destroy any incoming enemies. And then the seats behind you are, the engineers. So you're trying to
repair the ship.
Yeah, and, catch on to, another ship by cabling, and so they're operating that stuff. And it's all done through virtual screens that you're looking out the space windows and stuff like that, which is exactly how Five Wits plays their space game.
Oh, yeah.
You're sitting in the seats, and you have your roles, and, I'm hitting X, Y, and Z button, you're hitting A, B, C, and that's how it plays. It's, literally the same concept.
They have their own in-house designers, right? It's not like they went out and got...
Yeah. Although, Five Wits is designed by a former Disney Imagineer. So... but yeah, that game was not my cup of tea. However, I can understand why people would enjoy it. But that's very much the Galaxy's Edge Smuggler's Cove concept. And from what I understand, you can build a lightsaber and it's $200.
But you get to keep it.
But you get to keep it. All the reviews are that, once you get into the cantina place, you're probably dropping $500 by the time you leave. So
I'm probably going next year, so
immersive at its best. But yeah, we almost got
start saving for that now.
an escape island at Disney World. Was that the absolute end of escape room concepts at Disney World?
No.
Nope. There's another, which we'll get into now. So essentially, Disney had moved into a team building exercise, and there was a big announcement about it, and then it got very hush-hush, and now they run it through Disney meetings and events. And essentially, it's a massive corporate team building game, and it is an escape room with live actors, but the escape room is, for all intents and purposes, a massive banquet room.
Yeah.
Where they bring in some set pieces, so kind of very similar to how we do trapdoor events, and we bring out our puzzle boxes and some features and props. They do that, plus giant props to take over the room, and they decorate the room. They have the benefit of having a devoted banquet room for this.
Right.
And
actors.
And actors, yeah, right. So, as you can see in our photo here, the concept is very steampunk. So, you've got your cast of, say, 5 characters, and they guide the experience.
Right.
So, your clues and hint system is in the room with you.
A little bit how we were thinking of doing Windward.
A little bit,
yeah.
Yes. Sorry, the noise you're hearing is actually one of our staff not being capable of getting our front door open.
It gets sticky in the summer.
A little bit, but you'd think you'd be able to pop a door lock. So multiple cast members guiding the experience, your clues, your hints, and guidance throughout, as well as kind of resetting the game as it goes, which we do when we do our off-site events also. But I was able to find some actual photos inside the space, so you could see kind of like in these photos the size level of the props that they were committing to this experience. And let's see here, they've got a massive map where for our events it's typically more of a 9x11 paper sheet size. They really get into large size props to create a set out of nothing.
Right.
Which is something we started doing with a few of the concepts. This is actually a nice size photo of more scale of their set work. So you've got all these different zones where they go to in groups, and from what I understand, they're looking to entertain several hundred people at a time.
Right. It's not really for the common man to do. It's for corporate.
No. Matter of fact, this is not applicable or available to common groups. We tried. We actually contacted them when it first opened and said, we want to bring out our team and do it as a team building event, and we were well under head count. I believe minimum head count's 200.
Oh yeah.
So
so not a lot of companies can do that.
No, definitely not a lot of companies can do that. However, there's plenty that will, and they're paying for a massive experience because from what I know, Disney Meeting and Events also fully caters all of their events, and so you're probably spending $30,000.
Oh yeah.
Minimum price.
So it's worth it for them to do the actors and the sets and everything else. Yeah.
It's a room that is probably designated for other meetings and events, activities, and other banquets and things, and things to that effect.
Right.
And then when someone books the escape room concept, they just wheel everything in because it's literally theater set pieces.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's in a predetermined space allows them to just bring it on in.
Right. They know that there's a set space and what everything is, the space that everything's going to take up.
It's not like they're going to bring these set pieces to another territory or location or another state. They're where we've gone to Connecticut or we're supposed to go to Maryland. We have a lot more ability to bring our stuff, but it's smaller. We're not doing that level of a set design in that circumstance. So totally different, totally different, but very the same.
Right. Same contest, same concept on a larger scale.
Right.
Yeah.
So, for
on a Disney level scale.
Whoever asks, why doesn't Disney do an escape room? They do. They just want $30,000 for an hour.
Right.
I'm sure that with the catering and everything else, it's not an hour. It's probably 3 hours. But regardless, Disney's not doing it unless it's highly, highly profitable. Now, does that say something to the escape room industry?
Well, I mean, again, the mobile concept, and it depends on how you do it. I mean, like I said, that's a Disney scale thing. Like we do pretty well with Trapdoor Events, having our puzzles and bringing them places.
Thank you, everyone.
But I mean, yeah, it's not Disney level because we're not asking $30,000 for it.
Right.
We're also not Disney, so I mean,
not yet.
I don't even mean us. I mean anyone. In the
but I mean it's like they have a name attached to it already, so they already have that built-in audience for it. Like everyone's going to Disney anyway. So the fact that they can open up an escape room is like, okay, it's Disney doing an escape room. Whereas if we had this big elaborate thing, we'd be like, who are you people?
Yeah.
Now even if Five Wits tried doing something like this, there's only so many people that know what Five Wits is. So they're not going to they can't ask for $30,000 and get 200 people in because it's still a very niche thing.
Right.
Yeah. Disney is known by what Disney is before you're even born. You're just it's part of your genetic material to know what Disney is. So I mean, there's a name backing that up and justifying it. Whereas for a typical escape room, I don't know if that's feasible just yet.
Well, I mean, it's not exactly like we do these weekly, but we've had multi-hundred.
Oh yeah,
events.
we do things like that, but it's not to the elaborate style that Disney can pull off.
Oh, sorry, Mike. I noticed you're a little low on your Rosemount Shiraz.
Maybe considering that we just talked about substance abuse, maybe we shouldn't be drinking.
It's afternoon.
We'll just give a little
It's
dribble.
a holiday too.
Little dribble.
Not for the people who have substance abuse problems, Frank.
Well, we're not saying they should.
We don't have substance abuse. Well, I don't. Maybe.
Nor do I.
But okay, so anyway, but notice there's not, they don't have an escape room in the park.
Right.
Yes, Brian, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Pour one out for us, buddy. And
it comes back to the same concept of the island, though. Getting the amount of people in and rushing people through puzzles, it doesn't feel like an escape room if you're constantly being rushed.
Right. Look, at the end of the day, this isn't a pat on the shoulder moment for us, but Trapdoor is a multi-million-dollar company at this point. Our annual revenue does, hit into those numbers, but most companies don't.
Yeah.
And beyond that, for a major company like Disney, they'd look at that and be like,
yeah, they don't need it.
So, and to even Great Adventure's point, if people, you've got thousands of people in attendance a day, and you're saying that you're only going to allow 6 to 8 people in a room for 1 hour, or more, like, for example, 16 people in QRZ for 2,
it's just not worth it for them.
It's still not worth it for them.
Yeah, because they're already in the park.
What's interesting, too, about Myst is that it was created for the concept to kind of cater to people who got sick of standing online for several hours. So
right.
it was like, okay, well, we'll take you to this island for like 5 hours,
right?
And then you stay there. But that kind of feeds back into the point that we had earlier about some of the puzzles just being arbitrary. It gets to a certain point where we're just in one location for 5 hours, and it's like I'm bored.
That's not why you're going to Disney.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, the concept that we did pitch, Great Adventure, Disney World is implementing. Which was the online puzzle games.
Mm.
They're doing it through apps.
Yeah.
So basically, you'll kind of get your app, download it, and while you're online, you're solving puzzles and doing other kind of fun stuff. So we were onto something.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, and by all means, comment below. Let us know your thoughts on this because I'm kind of interested. When people get in, there's no doubt in my mind that tons of people every year get into the escape room industry because they think they're going to be multimillionaires in a week by spending $5,000.
Well, it's like what we talked about the last couple of weeks. They're like zombie movies.
Right.
Everyone can make one. 90% of them aren't that. Yeah, doesn't mean you should just because they're easy, and 90% of them aren't good. You can get better, but I mean, because it's a constantly evolving thing, but 90% of them are not good.
Yeah. And talking about comments, something I wanted to mention before, even if we're not live anymore and you're watching this as a separate video, comment. We will see it. We will address it at the next show. So it's like we don't have to be live for people to comment.
True.
Exactly.
Very true. We are checking the comments post show. But yeah, I mean, it is, you're right, Brian, it is a whole separate discussion. But, we did kind of scratch the surface on that a little bit in a previous episode. Yeah. And, this is, I guess, kind of getting into a continuation of. But, if Disney's not doing it, there's probably a reason. An escape room is probably never going to be $1 billion business. Unless you have locations literally clear across the world. You would probably have to have 100 locations.
Yeah, I think...
all with popular content.
Yeah, as I said, unless you're backed by some major company with name recognition that already has a built-in audience, like Disney, I don't know how feasible it is for an escape room company to do that.
Right.
But at the same time, you notice that Disney is realizing the value in immersion.
Yeah.
Yes.
And having puzzle elements in their stuff. So while it might not be an escape room, like Galaxy's Edge and the new parks that are being created are very immersive and still have some kind of challenge element to it. It's not just like go look at something.
And we talked about this last week, right?
Yes.
About just, the idea of what an escape room actually is now.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean...
Well, again, that's a discussion that
Yeah.
that'll
It's
evolve.
a never-ending conversation,
Yeah.
but it seems to kind of permeate through all of our discussions so far. So, I mean, it's just...
Speaking of escape room business, if any of you are closed because it's a holiday, I hope you're noticing how much in the background our phone is nonstop ringing, and that's just Morristown's phone.
Right.
So yeah, holidays. Hate sucks working on them, but it's nice bringing in the revenue.
And they'll usually book day of because people will just see what's out there.
Yeah. So I guess to close this topic out, before we get into our other ones, you will find tons of content on people who have illegally ventured to Discovery Island.
Yes, we do not advocate that, but there is video on YouTube.
But there's plenty of video. Check out the video.
And it's pretty cool. So
And
for all
look-
you urban
But we don't
explorers out there,
do not do that. We're not advocating that you do
No,
something
you will
illegal.
be arrested and banned for life
Yeah.
from Disney World. That's literally the
It kind of looks like the island now kind of looks like Lost World Jurassic Park.
Yes.
But a lot.
Also, because
beware the
there's-
high grass.
There's still all cages and everything from when
Yeah.
they had animals on the park, and so yeah, it's very much a Jurassic Park
Lost World,
level
yeah.
concept. But and from what I understand, they were breeding animals there while they were making Animal Kingdom.
Great.
If Disney would do like genetic
So,
modification. If they're not yet, it's happening in the future.
So
I'm sure they have a division.
very, very cool concept there. But yeah, and also keep in mind, if any of you do feel illegally adventurous, Disney owns all that land, and not just owned it in the fact of like, we own this property in the state of Florida. That's their own zip code. You're on international territory. So if you get busted in there, don't be surprised if you come out the other side with like a few teeth missing and some serious beat down
Disney
level
jail.
events happening, because
you
Disney's got their own jails.
World War III begins in Discovery Island in Disney.
Yeah, they're not gonna just release you to the Orlando PD or the Kissimmee PD. They're going to probably brutally wreck you before they do.
If you want to do something about police, brutality, though, there's your opportunity.
It's not actual police; it's Disney police.
Even worse.
Let's be clear to Disney. We don't know that happens. So we're not saying that for sure will happen, but we are saying that it is illegal to go onto that island,
illegal,
and you don't want to do it.
Now, having said that, over the last, I believe, 2-3 years, they had officially removed the docks because apparently
they
people
did
were
remove
trying
the
to
docks.
canoe themselves in overnight.
That makes sense.
Also, as a very big warning, there's gators.
Yeah.
There are a lot of gators apparently on the island too.
On the God.
So it's been
Terrifying.
abandoned for a decade.
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah.
So keep that in mind. But they also, because the island was desolate for so long, a couple cool things about it. One, they still run power to it.
No, I read that the power cut out like 5 years ago or something. Why?
Because they're doing construction.
Oh, they are doing something there?
They're doing something. So something
okay.
is coming to Discovery Island. There are no official announcements, but there's been a lot of spy photos of construction.
They could put like a hotel there. It might be cool.
It might be really cool. That would actually probably make a ton of money.
Yeah.
Till the
Stay on
alligators
an
start
island.
eating people.
Well,
Till
I'm sure
till
the
gators start
first
eating
thing they did was get the gators
Yeah.
out, I would think.
I'm sure that's probably number one.
They always come back, though, Frank.
All right, Frank. What's next?
All right, so next, something we've actually touched on here. We've touched on last week. Not officially licensed escape rooms, like Disney Island was going to be officially licensed with Myst, but there's plenty of escape rooms out there that claim to be related to this fandom, whichever one it is, and really aren't, and it is illegal. And
Absolutely, most famously,
yes,
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. There's so many Harry Potter knockoffs that there is a top 10 list. The top 10, and none of them are licensed.
Are they still open, though?
I'm not sure. Well, when was this article? 3/5/19. So
Yeah,
so they're
fairly
probably
recently.
still open, but they open, they close, but they
I was just that's more accurate. Is that this list is in flux because
Yeah.
Right.
I do know for a fact that at least 7 Harry Potter escape rooms closed last year.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding too is that no escape room has been sued for copyright infringement, but they do get cease and desist.
yeah.
But like nothing is ever. They get the cease and desist letter, they concede, and they close. Like Warner Brothers has not sued any company for
Well,
copyright
right back
infringement.
to what we were just talking about with Disney. In the eyes of a movie studio, escape rooms don't make enough revenue to be worth suing.
Yeah.
Sure, but they're
But
you
the
know,
cease and desist.
sure. Yeah, I mean,
And no one wants to go against Warner Brothers
Yeah.
or Disney, so if they give you a
They
cease
fold.
and desist,
Yeah.
you cease and desist. Yeah.
yeah. But it's weird because I mean, of all these, I mean, that's not even like some of these escape rooms. You know, they use like the Harry Potter like logo text font to like advertise. Some of them have like a very Potter escape room.
Yeah.
I mean, there's it's really hard to get that confused
Right.
with something totally different, especially when you're using the Harry Potter font in your game. But it's weird because Warner Brothers has gone after Harry Potter festivals.
Yes.
So the fact
Yeah.
that some of these escape rooms are still open is kind of mind-boggling.
Come to Fogwarts Escape Room.
Well, there are a few on this list that's like the Wizard's Escape, the Department of Magic. So there is some of them that have Privet Drive that have plausible deniability.
Yeah.
I guess you could say. But I don't know if within them they use actual stuff. They use actual logos and stuff from the
I mean,
movies or
The font isn't copywritten because you can
Right.
download that.
Right. Right.
But
But sometimes it's so blatantly obvious.
Harry Potter and
yeah,
the
but
Locked Chamber.
I think that there has to be determined that there's a clear revenue loss. You know, if Warner Brothers is like, a Harry Potter escape room caused us this much revenue loss over the last year, we can go after them. It's there. But if you have like plausible deniability where it's like the Wizard's escape room, it's like
Right.
we're just using the font. There's really nothing you can prove.
Right, if you're not using any intellectual property from the logos and stuff from the
Yeah.
movies, then you could probably get away with it.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of them that are not. Harry Potter is the most prominent, but there are a lot that have that.
I believe there's
There-
a Batman themed one or
Sure, there is.
Batman themed.
Or Arkham themed.
Yeah.
I've seen that one, but then there are some that are licensed. Like there's that Ghostbusters one. I think it's by Washington D.C. area or Virginia.
Right.
That one is officially licensed. That place has a bunch that are officially licensed. So
You can call Dan Aykroyd up with anything and he'll license it.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's more owned by him than it is by the studio, so that's probably why that would happen. But then
There's a Russian company that sells a School of Magic game that's been deployed worldwide.
That's how they infiltrate
yeah.
the elections.
It's a play on words. It's a play on words.
That's how it
And
goes.
it really ends up, Brian, depending upon content too.
Right.
Like the photo above, that is so obviously Harry Potter. But if you can toe the line, but on my token, it's like if you're gonna toe the line, why not just make your own thing? But
if you plan on it getting really huge, plan on. getting
this
the
is
one.
actually their photo that we're using. Okay. That's
What?
school. The photo we have up on
Oh.
Puzzle Talk is actually from School of Magic as our example. So I kind of liken this, as far as a business model, what they're looking to do with it. I think they're looking to do very similar to, for example, like when YouTubers will do like parody videos of pop culture reference stuff. They're doing it for views. They can't
Yeah.
monetize that, but they're doing it to get more subscribers, get more people viewing, and they'll do 3 or 4 of those, and then they'll do something they're hoping
No, I
to
mean
monetize.
the thing with satire though is that you can monetize that because the Key of Awesome was doing that, and the Key of Awesome was they were like a spoof video thing where they make fun of, they take like a song that's popular, like a Beyonce song, like All the Single Ladies, and they would change the words to comment on some sort of trend, like a Twilight spoof or something like that, and they would do that, and they would make money. They were very funny.
I watched every single episode of Key of Awesome.
Yeah, so you
I
know.
know them very well.
But satire,
They did close up shop though.
they did, but for reasons totally unrelated to lawsuits. You can satirize and monetize that.
Right.
Because satire and whatnot, there has to be a clear delineation that what they're doing is negatively impacting what they're spoofing. So
if
again,
you don't steal too much, it's maybe more some kind of fan fiction. No, because you can't monetize fan fiction. That's really where the line is.
Yeah, you can't do that. But a satire,
selling tickets.
satire is
Right.
satire is protected. So if you did Harry Pothead, you could
Which they have.
which they have, yes, and
It does
and,
exist.
and Mad Magazine famously back in the 50s when they were a comic book had Starchy, which was a rip on Archie comics, and it was totally off the wall, but they got away with it because they can satirize
yeah.
that and monetize
That's
it.
parody. Yeah.
It's parody, so that's protected speech. You can do that. It's when you have a Harry Potter escape room, though. That's when you're a little closer, but it's still protected, and you can do these things, but tread lightly.
Yeah, you can do anything and release it free. It's the moment you try to monetize it.
That's when you
that it's
you
not
open
fan
up
fiction
you
anymore.
open up you
No.
open up legal quagmires. You can probably again toe the line and get away with it so long as there's no clear negative impact on the thing that you're spoofing.
Right. If your picture on your website is taken straight from a Harry Potter movie,
Then you're going to opening up
Yeah.
troubles. But like Starchy didn't impact the sales of Archie comics. So I mean, it's satire. It's protected. You can monetize that. But Archie
even
Archie
Saturday
wasn't
Night
very
Live.
happy. Yeah.
Saturday
Oh, yeah,
Night Live
SNL
does that all the time, and they
So
don't
it's
get in trouble.
They just satired the Avengers like 2 weeks ago in a Jeopardy
They,
game.
they even use the actors sometimes to satirize
Right.
their
But,
own
right.
thing,
Again,
which
It's
that helps promote it rather
yeah.
than
Tra-
As long as it's not
hurting.
Mark Ruffalo. and it's not
most
spoiling
and
Yeah.
most of the time too, you have more of a leg to stand on than the people coming after you. I think Warner Brothers went after Whataburger in California because they have a double W logo that looks like the Wonder Woman logo.
Wow.
And
yes, I remember
and
that.
Whataburger was like, no, we're not stopping. And then DC reversed their cease and desist within 48 hours. DC is going after some indie comic book publisher now for doing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez comic, but she's done up like Wonder Woman. Or not like Wonder Woman, like she has like the red breastplate and like the blue mini battle skirt and whatnot.
Yeah,
but it's not Wonder Woman per se. But
I wouldn't think that would be hurting the sales of Wonder Woman.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it's you can riff on things, but you can't directly copy it and act all surprised when someone sees you. But sometimes it's just people protecting the IP address, the intellectual property.
Intellectual property. Yeah.
Sorry, it's been a day.
weekend.
So I mean, you can just tread lightly. Is really what it
And,
boils down to.
It's also misleading for the fans. You're going in expecting an actual Harry Potter escape room, and then you have like these things that are completely unrelated, and that can get misleading as well. So they're trying to draw you in using the name, but then buyer beware. Just keep in mind that most of these are not.
Do your
legal.
research.
Yeah.
AT&T, Warner Brothers, DC Comics, when you're ready to license Batman, give us a call because we will do the hell out of that.
But it's like, what is that film company who does all of like the mockbusters? There's there was like Alien versus Hunter when they did like
What's
an Alien
next?
versus Predator movie, stuff like that. So just again,
I mean,
do these things.
and then there's the whole porn parody industry,
Yeah.
but that's we're not going into that.
Yes.
Next.
So next,
Moving on.
So next we're going to talk about something we touched on a little bit last week. Players talking back to hints and the help that game masters are trying to give them.
Which, by the way, our photo is our Straight Out of Clues official Trapdoor t-shirt on sale now at trapdoorescape.com.
Well, I mean,
As well as the Switch Hunt shirt I'm wearing right now.
I can't speak for other companies, but we pay attention. So if we're giving you a clue, we probably know what you need. We know the game better than you do. So if you're playing and you get a hint and you're like, that doesn't make sense, or like, I don't know what that means. Well, you got to figure it out. That's
We
that's
know.
the game. Yeah, it's like if we're giving you the clue, we're doing it for a reason.
Yeah, and just to Frank's point, it's not bragging when we say that we know the game better than you because we work here. We have to as a matter of employment.
Most of us built the game. We've watched it at least a dozen times or more. maybe 100 times or more.
They say to be an expert at anything requires 10,000 hours. I did the math. I'm an expert.
I think I was an expert the first week I started here.
It feels that way, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we know better than you do. You don't have to, and that's not to put down our players, because obviously it's not nearly every player. It's just a select few.
Well, no, that goes right into the topic from last week of the entitlement issues, and everybody needs a cookie. But it's this kind of does really cater. This topic caters to that small percent of people that play the entire game wanting another clue every 10 seconds. And when they get it, it's not good enough. It's like, these are the same, So I know tons of places do things differently. I know one of the most popular deliveries of clues in escape rooms is through a monitor that literally, in font, in text, is the clue. And it's typed out by the game master most of the time. We automate all of our clues in a different way. Every game is slightly unique, but it's all done in a similar method where it's in story and in character. But every single one of those hints is predetermined.
Yeah.
So you're getting the exact same list of clues that everyone who came before you that came here got, and they made it through. So.
And more to the point, they're called hints and clues.
Right. Not the answer.
Not answer.
You don't show up to a crime scene with a big note that says, I did it.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. But, more often than not, you find clues, you find evidence, and you have to infer these things in order to find out who did it.
Right.
It's called a criminal investigation for a reason.
On that same token, like I tell people sometimes too, there's a science behind that. I mean, there's hormones that are released. The same way, like when you get excited, hormones release. When you get excited because you solved a puzzle on your own, endorphins kick. There's hormones that release, and that makes it a memorable experience.
Right, and ultimately that's what we want, and that's what you should want as a player.
When your game master just hands you the answer,
not nearly as much fun. Yeah,
it's gone. You don't get that,
and that's the double-edged sword too. Is that
you're not creating memorable experiences for your players.
But I mean, like someone asks for 20 hints within 20 seconds, and then they come out of the games complaining that they were, it was too hard and that they were given a lot of help and they felt stupid. But I mean, as we've talked about, it's just reading comprehension and knowing what metaphors are. I mean, just knowing those right away. Just
most of the puzzles are not meant for you to get immediately, so you don't have to feel stupid.
Yeah, everything.
You don't have to feel stupid.
Everything leads to a solution in our games.
Right.
But again, you have to put that logic together.
And most games are built that way.
Yeah, I assume most, if not all, escape rooms just have, puzzles and hints and clues. So that's how you piece everything together, and that's what this whole industry is based on. Figuring things out.
Right. And I can't speak for every room in the world, but the ones that we've played, even then they don't give you the answer outright when they give you a clue. The ones on the screen don't give you an answer outright, which is the way it should be.
Next up on our list is, I believe, the first time we've ever talked about a VR game.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, the escape room related news. So there's an Assassin's Creed
hugely
VR
popular,
escape room,
famous
huge video game series. This is actually the second time they've done a VR escape room tying into a game release. From what I've read, the game itself is not spectacular, but as a promotional tool, I think it's a really cool concept.
Have any of us played a VR game yet?
No.
I remember when VR hit, I tried the big headpiece, and it was
I did a sample at Comic-Con.
But I've never actually played one. I wasn't really taken by it.
Right.
When I tested it out, it was like a rainforest, and you're just walking through the rainforest.
I had to take my glasses off so I couldn't see anything.
Yeah. I played.
There's that other problem.
Yeah.
It was not a puzzle game per se. Stephanie did their first VR game. How was it?
You did the Batman one, right?
I was just going to bring that up.
Oh, yeah, well, you did Batman VR on PlayStation.
Batman VR,
yeah.
or Arkham VR, whatever they had called it. But in that game, one, just looking in a mirror and seeing myself in a bat suit.
Well, for you, yeah.
But yeah, going into the Batcave, putting together your arsenal. But the gameplay itself is basically a VR police investigation. You're in what the Arkham games dub detective mode, and you're trying to put together a crime.
Yeah.
And the crime, I don't want to spoil things, but Brian said all the VR escape games he's played have been a huge disappointment. That's what I've heard.
That's what even the article sounded about the Assassin's Creed
Stephanie
one.
said nice, more like an adventure game where you had to climb and find a way out, like the old Lara Croft or Indiana Jones.
Right, yeah,
games,
that sounds
nice.
like what this other one was
Well,
too.
I'll tell you,
yeah.
in Tomb Raider, the original Lara Croft Tomb Raider games, they were 100% one of the first things that got me into puzzles with Resident Evil. And got me into this medium. So I might have, if Stephanie's saying that it's a lot like that, I might want to check that out. Great use of VR technologies, but there were hardly any puzzles.
Right, that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like in the Assassin's Creed one too.
I've read some reviews that Room Escape artists have done of some VR games that seem decent. So, there might be an avenue to check out. But I personally we get offers probably monthly from VR companies that want us to bring games into Trapdoor. And my personal feeling on this is that if you came to Trapdoor, it's because you want a tangible experience, something that you can touch, something that not virtual reality.
Right.
You can play virtual reality at home. Hence.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest too. It's like you spend 9-10 hours looking at a computer screen a day. The last thing I want to do when I get home anyway is be in front of a screen again.
Right.
Not even be in front of a screen, but just your eyes are a screen.
Yeah, I just go home now and I read books because I just don't want to be locked into my phone or a TV screen or my computer. So I mean, I can't imagine working a job, like a 9-to-5 customer service job or something like that, Monday through Friday, just to spend your weekend doing VR games. But that's just me.
There's people like that.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I have lots of gamer friends who spend every waking minute of their lives when they're not working playing video games. So I mean, I get it. But for me personally, mostly. But I mean, as you said, like I don't want to be in tune to that all day every day. So having an opportunity to come to an escape room, especially something very elaborate like what Freak Show is going to be or what QRZ is now, that's a lot cooler because you're not locked into that.
Brian wants to know what book you're reading.
Well, the last 3 weeks I've been reading a whole bunch of Richard Stark crime novels, so I highly recommend those. Butcher's Moon was the last one I just read. Now I'm jumping into fantasy with China Miéville and City and the City. I'm just trying to keep it varied, so good stuff.
All right. Well, next up on our list is actually some, kind of updates and things that we're, kind of moving on and doing. So Trapdoor Escape Stream has been moving along. Every week the audience is growing. We've got new subscribers every week, so this is really kind of launching for us. And up to this point, you've been able to play for the month of May. You had the ability to stream F5, a tornado escape. You had the ability to stream QRZ, the 2-hour zombie apocalypse theme, Witch Hunt, and now for June, you will be able to also stream Boogeyman, and that does have some live performance element to it, which should be really cool. I think you could probably figure out where we're going with that, avoiding Boogeyman attacks. And as well as Theater of the Devil will be available to stream starting June 1st.
That's a good slate of things.
Theater of the Devil, I was putting together the broadcast for yesterday, and it's so different than it is in the events catalog, because by doing it through the streaming service, we're able to really accentuate some of the alternate reality gaming components and make them a little more true to form, and really kind of present them in a much more unique way. the time clock and all the musical choices are running throughout the whole thing in the top corner, and then we're able to kind of bring in these little extra components. We're gonna do a little pre-recording of some character stuff, so that this way, Detective Banyan is actually reading her diary notes as opposed to you reading the notes.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Kind of brings it together in a much more unique way. Theater of the Devil is, I think, my all-time favorite from our Quirks and Events catalog of themes.
It's my favorite as well. It's probably one of the more hands-on games that we have too for players.
Yeah.
And it's one of those. It's a storyline that sounds so quirky and weird and cheesy in a synopsis, but when you play it, it's so good.
Yeah, I think because it's a murder mystery. We're big into murder mysteries here. This one's really immersive because you get the case notes and you have to read those. So you're reading the story along the game, and then you have to interact with some of these magical puzzle elements that we have. And I think we pulled it off very well.
Yeah, I was always very happy with that one.
That's so if you haven't, subscribed, subscribing to our YouTube channel is awesome, and you need to be a subscriber in order to use your membership because we do stream it through our YouTube channel as in a private video. But if you haven't, make sure to sign up at trapdoorescapestream.com for your $11.99 a month membership. You'll have access to all these different experiences, and as we just announced that these two are coming live in June, there will be other ones coming live in July and more in the fall and so forth. So lots of new content on the way.
But remember, when you have your subscription, you still have to sign up for the game so that we know to stream it.
Right. So next up,
Freak Show.
Summer is coming. No, we're not to Freak Show yet. We've got a couple more things before that. Trapdoor Events. This has been getting a lot of booking. So our summer is packing up quick. If you're interested, if you're a company and you're looking to have a team building event, we have had companies in the past take advantage of us doing these outdoors. So I highly recommend potentially doing that. And we actually just got featured as one of the top New York team building event venues. Through, I think it was
Best Venues New York.
Best Venues New York listed us as the #1 escape room. And especially for team building and
off-site stuff.
Specifically for the meetings and events. So we're honored to have been listed as the only escape room on that list.
Big shout out to them.
And check out their site. They have tons of other blogs and things. But
good job, everybody.
Up to 1,050 players for any Trapdoor event. So if you're interested, make sure to reach out. Super excited for this one. Officially announcing Puzzles and Kids.
That's gonna be fun.
So what is Puzzles and Kids? This has been the question everybody keeps asking.
You solve puzzles and you win kids.
Wouldn't that be awesome? No, Puzzles and Kids is actually we don't even want to touch the refunds on something like that. Like
my kid's defective. Sorry.
So Puzzles and Kids
is
a brand new venture by us, and it's, from what I could gather, a first of its kind. It's really a hybrid of like a theater show, like stage show, meets an escape room. So we're building it kind of in the world of characters from The Greatest Freak Show.
Your Zunder hat.
So Zunder will be on stage, on the Freak Show stage. Now, I actually should probably elaborate. Puzzles and Kids has really 3 different elements you can play, which is, one, our in-house camp. So the Puzzles and Kids camp is playing in Morristown all summer on Fridays. And you can check the website, puzzlesandkids.com, for all of the time slots and whatnot. Now, this is a camp, so essentially what you would do as a parent is you would purchase the entire summer package, which I believe is like $250 for a child.
I think it's what it was.
But that's for the entire summer. So every Friday, July through August, till basically the first week of September, you're able to bring them in and They will be able to participate and learn all new things. All the puzzles are based around educational topics with a different topic each week. Realistically, the kids are just not even going to realize the level of engagement that they have to these topics because it's so much fun. And you know, we've experimented with the Red Bang Egg Hunt, with the Red Bang Halloween, where we had teachers coming to us about, you know, how engaged the children were. So we're really looking to kind of go full steam on, you know, on this element. But Zunder and all of his oddities will be on stage, and you know, different oddities each week.
Hosted by
Tone
Zunder, featuring, you know, colorful characters every week, presenting
Frenchie
the puzzles and
Pinhead Larry.
Pinhead Larry. So essentially, all of these different topics will be presented on stage, and the children will be in the audience. However, like an escape room, they're able to interact with the show and interact with the characters, and we'll be bringing kids on stage to interact with certain puzzles. And so it's very much a hybrid. It's a stage show.
So that's the first way that they could have that. But the other
on
ones,
location in Morristown.
right?
Then there's the ability for us to bring the show in a slightly different variation off-site. We can bring it to schools. We can bring it to theaters and put it on stage. And allow, you know, same thing, audience could be brought in much higher frequency and interact with the show. The show will be more of a condensed topic list, so instead of where the camp is, each topic is broken up per week. These will be more condensed, like headline topics.
Right,
For the schools, they can pick educational topics from our list. For the theater and stage, it's going to be a more broad-based, you know, list of topics and list of education. And then finally, Puzzles and Kids will be streaming on Trapdoor Escape Stream as a weekly episode.
Yep.
So that's going to be awesome. Those are going to be half-hour episodes.
And that's going to run that's going to run regardless of how many people sign up. Yeah.
So that'll be weekly, half-hour episodes. Each episode, different topic. And that should be, I think, a lot of fun for kids to do. You know, in a world
and a
where
lot of fun
there's
for
no
us,
more,
too.
You know, really on-topic educational cartoons so much. This is something you could, you know, tune your kids into and really have a blast with it, with all the characters from Zunder's show. We'll be calling them oddities, not freaks.
Just so you know.
Just so you know. Which brings us to...
Excellent transition.
What's going on with The Greatest Freak Show?
Very excited for tomorrow.
Very excited for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, we are actually recording all of the lyrics for Freak Show. So all the musical performances that are going to be in the show, our composer has already, you know, provided all of the song tracks. So all the music is already composed and done.
He's doing the vocals.
So it's time to record those vocals and get them in there. Yours truly will be recording tomorrow as Zunder, as well as
we get to hear his singing voice.
A very small amount of Trapdoor team members who, you know, have some singing experience will be performing.
Not me. Not Mike.
But we also have some professionals.
Yes. It's gonna be really fun to see people finally, these characters that we've been sitting with in design phase
for a
start
year.
exactly
A solid year.
Start to come to life. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
You know, for all of our projects, I think Freak Show is probably the longest pre-production we've ever done. You know, and we've been a lot more, you know, pushing onward with it in the last month. But Freak Show, literally from composing, you know, from writing the songs, composing the music, planning out the actual puzzles and storyline, and then retailoring it and the characters. This has been a year-long production, so this is really going to be something.
Yeah.
So excited. And actually, next week, we are going to give you guys a little audio sample of where we're at from tomorrow's performances.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun to look forward to. Honestly, these songs get stuck in your head, and they are a lot of fun.
I find myself out of nowhere singing one of them every so often.
I find myself whistling the one that we have in the trailer before Witch Hunt. I'll just...
Yeah, the opening.
It's like a disease. It just gets stuck in your brain
in a good way.
Yeah.
In the musical earworm way. Yeah.
Yes. So super excited, and we will get you some updates on that. The Greatest Freak Show, a 2-hour musical, opens up August 2nd, is actually our premiere night. That's special
That's gonna be
invitation
fun
only.
too, yeah.
And then Saturday is open to public. But heads up, because it is pretty much sold out.
Yeah,
but,
it's
there are
picking
other
up.
dates.
It's picking up. Like as of like last month too. I think August 3rd. That Saturday was.
Oh yeah, we have
good.
never pre-sold tickets at an alarming rate such as this. Freak Show started selling tickets 6 months ago, so and our fall season is Freak Show is packed. So get your tickets fast, which actually a fairly good transition, I guess, to our puzzle of the week.
Yeah.
Is
Good way to
Freak Show-
get those tickets.
Yeah, really good way to get those tickets. We have a promo code hidden as a puzzle in the video we're about to play. And if you can piece this together, it gives you a promo code. That promo code is worth 50% off Freak Show tickets. And there's 50 applicable entries.
Okay, so if you figure it out, this is one that you might not want to comment the answer.
Correct.
But if you can have that, you will have that code, and if you're one of the first 50 people to book using that code, you get 50% off, which is really good. Because again, 2-hour game, not just a 1-hour game.
$49.99 per ticket. 16 players per game. I believe we have 3 showings on weekdays, and on weekends I think it's 8.
Okay.
So yeah, it is limited attendance and whatnot. But really, this is going to be an incredible game. From animatronics to incredible 360-degree projections this is.
It's gonna be wild.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. I don't think there's a single person on our team that is not excited.
Right, and yeah, we're all excited to work on it. Yeah.
So, without further ado, we will play the video, and then we'll discuss it. Also, kind of fun is that you're going to get some samples of the music in this video. So, here we go.
Brace yourselves.
Brace yourselves.
Hold on to your butts.
Yes, on that.
So it's 2 kids playing with family. We're still down.
It does not look like our video here is playing. Can everyone, yeah? So it seems like we're having a little technical difficulty here, everybody, because the video is not actually playing anything. So let me try a little reboot here and see what we get. We do apologize. Alright guys, so what we're getting is a still photo. And I'm not sure why. Worst case scenario, I will comment the link below, and you'll be able to pull it up from there. But I'll try it one more time. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure particularly what the issue is here, but I'll bring us back up here and let me get this rolling. So Frank, you want to talk about some upcoming topics that you picked out for next week?
Okay, yeah. So, well, we already discussed how we're going to have some freak show information next week. We're going to have some behind-the-scenes stuff on that, and that's going to be a lot of fun. But the other thing we want to talk about is pre-built escape rooms versus self-built escape rooms. So there's a lot of companies that use other companies to bring in their room and stuff, and supply all their puzzles and sets and everything like that. And then there's companies like us who build our own stuff and fit it to the space. So we're going to be discussing the pros and cons of both ends of that.
That's a fun one since we've talked about that at length.
Yeah,
Just
amongst ourselves. Yeah.
in casual conversation.
What else did I write down? Well, yeah. Eventually, we will, once we hear more about Galaxy's Edge and get some more information and reviews about that, we'll discuss that in the future as well.
Alright guys, I actually now have the link in the comments. So follow that link and you'll be able to view the puzzle and play through it from there. And hopefully, everybody will get some tickets. Because like we said, this game should be amazingly fun. So we went massively over time today. It's 2:17. We were supposed to be done at 2, so we're 17 minutes post
And
time.
we have a full group of 2:30.
So any closing comments?
Happy Memorial Day.
Likewise.
Happy
Yep.
Memorial Day.
Enjoy Monday off.
Be sure to subscribe for more episodes of Puzzle Talk and become members at TrapdoorEscapeStream.com for just $11.99 a month. You'll have access to all of our escape room experiences, plus original content. And we'll see you here next week. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I may or may not be here, but yes.
Yeah, Frank might be in China, but
Might be
we'll
in China.
do. Have a great day, guys. Happy Memorial Day.
Take care, guys.